Hello and welcome everybody. I'm John Satsos, Regional Sales Lead for NEC. Great to see so many of you joining us today. In this session, you'll hear from our panel of experts on how networks, security and zero trust principles intersect to form the new era of WAN. The webinar will be recorded and will be available to view on demand. There will also be an opportunity to ask questions to our panel members at the end. So please use the chat function, type in your questions anytime throughout the webinar. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. So, setting the scene. Many of you will know that NEC has extensive experience in monitoring and managing networks across government and enterprise organisations. We can all understand and appreciate the important role networks play in supporting business activities. As organisations undertake modernisation and transformation initiatives, the future state of networks is critical. I'm sure most on this call will be at various stages with these programs within your respective organisations. So what are some of the challenges? Well, many of our networks are still reliant on traditional network transport technologies that can often require capital investments and lengthy provisioning timeframes. And for those that manage these networks, the visibility of what's happening within the network can at times be limited, and the prioritisation of mission-critical applications can be challenging, which then means troubleshooting and issue resolution can take longer than expected. So what's the solution? Many organisations are now looking for solutions that can enable optimize connectivity to cloud-based applications and integrate security functionality directly into their networks. So selecting the right partners to work with to achieve these outcomes is important. So without further ado, I'll hand you over to Pankit, NEC's National Portfolio Manager for Networks, to start the presentation. Pankit, over to you.
Thanks, John. Whilst the focus of this session is around the future of WAN that's moving towards software-defined networking, I'm just going to quickly run through the entire networking portfolio for NEC. So the two major building blocks that we have got is SD-WAN and SASE, which is the topic of the conversation today. But as you guys, most of you know that we do a lot of other things, LAN as a service, Wi-Fi, assessment services, network access control, data center networking, and so on. So I wanted to give you guys a quick overview around the networking portfolio, so that to show you that it's not just, NEC does a lot more than just network, SD-WAN or WAN. We do other services as well. With that, I would pass it on to Rohan. Rohan would be running through, he's the Cisco guru around SD-WAN, and would be talking all about that.
Thank you, Pankit, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name is Rohan Saldana, and I work for Cisco as an SD-WAN product sales specialist. So I think we all know today that applications are moving, not just to clouds, but to actually multiple clouds, right? Where we, have devices and things and mobile users, spread, all over the place, trying to connect to, applications that are sitting in like multiple clouds. And these clouds can be, your private clouds. They can be clouds that host, software as a service kind of applications like Office 365, Dropbox, etc. Or, they could be clouds where your workloads are located, right? So the likes of AWS, Azure, and, Google Cloud. So as a result of this change where, users are spread everywhere, and applications are in multiple clouds, your WAN and the traffic patterns on your WAN, right, needs to change. So we no longer have, traffic just going from, the data center, from a remote location into the data center. Now we've got traffic and users from, multiple different areas, right, trying to connect to like multiple different clouds. And the users, right, are ranging in, your hundreds. Next slide, please, John. So your users are, ranging, in like hundreds and sort of thousands, and your locations and sites are different as well. And to add to that, right, we've got a load of, IoT type devices, right, that are trying to connect to these like multiple different applications. So, the way to do this is to really use internet, right? MPLS links are quite expensive. They're quite rigid. At the same time, we've got NBN type services, which, have got internet services that are actually become, quite resilient and business grade, right? So internet connectivity is actually quite critical. Now, we've got users spread, all over the place. We've got applications residing in multiple cloud, and we're going to use internet along with MPLS links, right, to actually change our WAN. So we need to make our WAN software defined, but, we need to focus on a couple of things, right, as we software define our WAN, right? So the first thing is to ensure that, we are catering for, cyber threats. Right, as we're using internet, we need to make sure that security is paramount. As users are spread everywhere and applications are residing in multiple clouds, we want to make sure that the user experience is not impacted. And last but not the least, as we are changing our WAN and making it software defined, we want to reduce the complexity and not increase it. Next slide, please, John. So as a result, right, a lot of companies are deploying SD-WAN. Now, the likes of Gartner, have gone about and defined a number of different, sort of technologies that can actually make, one an SD-WAN vendor. But in summary, there's, the 4 ones around circuit load balancing, have some capability to provide direct internet access, have some sort of centralized management and orchestration, which can then lower your circuit cost, right? Next slide, please, John. Whereas in Cisco, right, what we are doing is, in addition to this basic SD-WAN capabilities, right, we are focusing in 4 main key areas, right? So the basic SD-WAN capabilities, right, they are table stakes, right? And it's the reason why, we have so many different SD-WAN vendors in the space. In Cisco, right, we are focusing in 4 main areas, right? The first one being application experience. And what we are doing here is that we are embedding technologies within the SD-WAN fabric, to help you have a better performance when you're using software as a service type applications, right? Your SD-WAN fabric can handle voice, right? And we have all, other capabilities that ensure you get the best performance for your application, but the technology is embedded within your SD-WAN fabric. The other main area we're focusing on is analytics, right? Traditionally, WANs are very rigid. You've got to, rely on your carrier, or on your service provider to give you some statistics. But as you go to a software-defined journey, right, we want to enable, the end user organizations to be able to get as much of visibility information as they can. Right, they get visibility around, how my circuits are performing, how my applications are performing, whether the applications are in my data center or in different clouds. I want to be able to get this information. I also want to be able to get information on infrastructure that I don't control, right? Especially when I'm using traffic, when I'm using applications in different clouds. So, can my SD-WAN, fabric enable me to do that? The third key area, and I guess the focus of today's discussion, is around security, right? So the Cisco SD-WAN solution, right, we focus on security in multiple different areas, right? We have, large amounts of segments, and I'll cover that. We have security capabilities that are embedded within our SD-WAN fabric, and you can use, with your on-prem devices. But we also have security technologies that you can use in the cloud, right? So we give flexibility to our customers, right? Like no matter what security capabilities they want to use, whether they want to use it on-prem or whether they want to use it in cloud. And then, we have a lot of capabilities to enable the SASE journey, which we will talk about. And the last main key area that we're focusing on is around multi-cloud, right? And this is what is Cisco doing to enable the to enable our users to be able to consume these applications in the different clouds, no matter whether it's a SaaS application or whether it's an IaaS application. How are we able to make use of better backbone providers like Equinix and Megaport to provide a great application experience to those users, right? So we'll talk a bit about that. Next slide, please, John. So just wanted to highlight some of the 5 key use cases that our customers are looking at when they're looking to deploy SD-WAN, right? So the first one is around secure automated WAN. Like I said, traditional WANs, are being quite rigid. You rely a lot on your service provider, to be able to enable things, to be able to give you data. But now, as you're opening up and you're complementing your existing MPLS links with, internet links, you want to have a WAN that is secure and it is automated, right? Now, automated means, you have the ability to have a single management and orchestration portal where you can control your entire WAN. Where you're able to do all your configuration changes, your business policy changes, etc. Right? As a result, we've seen, there's up to 58%, of time that you're saved, right, and costs that you save in actually operating your WAN, and we've documented this in an IDC paper. Right? From a security point of view, you need to have segmentation capabilities because you're going to have a lot of third-party services, right, that have access into your WAN. A classic example is in a retail environment, you want to provide Wi-Fi, right? Now, you want to provide guest Wi-Fi to your users in this environment, but you want to keep it separate and segmented, so it doesn't interact with your corporate traffic, right? And we've got examples here where we have a large retail chain. They have deployed Cisco SD-WAN, and they've been able, to have up to 1,000 different, wireless users in all their different stores, be completely segmented in a completely different segment. Next slide, please, John. Application performance optimization, right? So here is where you have technologies that are embedded right within your SD-WAN fabric, where you want to ensure that the performance of your application, right, is the best it can be given the transport that it's got, right? So you want to have technologies that ensure it picks the best path, right, for the application depending on the different transports you have, right? And we've got the capability to be able to set this using business policies. So we can say, choose your MPLS link for your most critical applications, choose your internet link for other applications, right? Next slide, please, John. So as I mentioned, a lot of our customers are starting to use internet links to complement their MPLS links, and this is one of the key benefits, right? So if I'm accessing applications that are residing in clouds, in multiple different clouds, why do I need to go through my data center and then exit to the cloud, right? If I've got a software-defined WAN that can enable me to have direct internet access for my remote sites and enable me to have the required security, then I'm going to use it, right? And a result of implementing this, right, we've seen up to 65% lower cost for connectivity, and we've seen up to 4 times more improvement in application performance or application latency, right, when using internet links. Next slide, please, John. So multi-cloud access, right? This is one of the key reasons why customers want to deploy software-defined SD-WAN and why customers are choosing Cisco SD-WAN, right? We've got technologies which we call as cloud on-ramp, right, which are embedded in the SD-WAN technology or the SD-WAN fabric, such that we are able to pick the best path to a software to a software as a service type application like Office 365 or Salesforce. And we're able to do this because of the technology we have and because of the work that we are doing with our cloud providers, right? For application workloads that are sitting in AWS and in Microsoft, we are embedding our SD-WAN fabric within these clouds. So, as you're using your workloads in this cloud, your SD-WAN fabric actually extends into these cloud providers, right? As a result of this, we've seen 5 times more improvement in Office 365 performance. And because of the infrastructure and the architecture of our SD-WAN solution, we are able to bring up and set up cloud connectivity options in AWS and in Microsoft in a much more faster manner, right, than we've been able to do in the past. Next slide, please, John. And another key aspect that we've seen a lot of our big enterprise and public sector customers adopt is having regional hubs to connect then into multiple different clouds. Not all of our customers want to open all of their branches out to the internet, so they choose to have regional hub locations from where they can then provide the cloud and security services, right? Again, we've got technologies that are embedded within our SD-WAN fabric that help you to easily automate and get this set up. Right, we are also using services from the likes of Equinix and Megaport, where you can connect to their regional locations and then make use of their backbone infrastructure to actually connect to multiple clouds. Next slide, please, John. So we've got over 40,000 customers that are using the two SD-WAN solutions from Cisco. Yes, we have two SD-WAN solutions. We've got the Meraki SD-WAN solution and the Cisco Viptela SD-WAN solution. And the reason we've got this is because we've got a broad set of customers across a lot of different verticals that have different requirements when it comes to having to get their WAN software defined. Right, we've got small customers in lean IT environments, right, that have minimal use cases. They want to have a single platform for security. They're already using Meraki for their LAN and Wi-Fi requirements. It's for these customers. We can simply enable them to use SD-WAN by using the Meraki platform. Right. On the other side, we've got a large number of enterprises that have got sophisticated routing and security requirements and segmentation requirements, and it's for these customers, right, that have chosen to deploy the Viptela SD-WAN solution. We've got a number of customers in Australia, whether it's large enterprises in the financial sector or large federal and public sector customers, right, that have successfully deployed the Cisco Viptela SD-WAN solution. Next slide, please, John. So some of the benefits of SD-WAN, this is more a slide for your reference, but definitely lower cost of connectivity, a faster onboarding of services, and efficient WAN management. Right, I have a lot of customers telling me, by software defining my WAN, I now have control of my WAN. Right, in the past, the control of my WAN was with my service provider and or with my MSP, but now I can actually get control back of my WAN. So a number one reason to actually move towards deploying SD-WAN. So just to give you a bit more details, on the work that we're doing from the multi-cloud and the SaaS front, if you can let the slide build, John. So, we are doing a number of things, right, with a number of different SaaS and, cloud providers, such that we can extend your SD-WAN fabric, not just between your remote locations and your data center, but you can make these cloud providers, right, an extension of your SD-WAN fabric, right? So we've got cloud on-ramp for SaaS type applications where we are able to identify the best path from the end user to where that cloud application is, so that it can choose the best path for them to access it. Right, we are doing work with AWS and with Microsoft Azure, where you can extend your SD-WAN fabric right into their clouds, so into AWS Transit Gateway, into Microsoft Azure. Right, with the Google GCP cloud network, you're able to use the cloud backbone for connectivity between your different sites, right? And the reason some of our customers choose to do that is because they can, sort of save on transport costs, plus they get a better latency for the applications that they're trying to access. And lastly, from a cloud interconnect point of view, we are able to extend your SD-WAN fabric into either the Equinix or the Megaport platform, such that you now have direct connectivity into Megaport or Equinix backbone, and you can use their backbone to connect to the different clouds. Next slide, please. So this is pretty much the work that we are doing with all these different cloud providers. And if you go to the next slide, John. The point I just want to highlight here is that Cisco SD-WAN has been leading the cloud networking innovation, right? There might be other SD-WAN vendors that are doing, some of what Cisco is doing today, but we have always been the first one to lead this innovation into the market, right? Back in September 23rd, 2020, we were the first SD-WAN vendor to actually integrate within, the Microsoft virtual hub, right? So we're able to participate in routing with Microsoft's vWAN backbone. We're able to get visibility, and you're able to do all of this from the Cisco SD-WAN management portal, right? We were the first ones, and still the only one, to be able to do Microsoft Inform Network Routing. And here again, we're getting visibility directly from the Microsoft Office 365 cloud, which we are integrating with the Cisco, SD-WAN management portal. So then you're able to, develop policies and provide the best application experience for those Office 365 applications, right? We are the first SD-WAN vendor back in March this year to connect with the Google Cloud Network. Again, the first one to work with, the Megaport and integrate with the Megaport MVE platform, and also to connect into AWS Transit Gateway, right? So, like I said, other SD-WAN vendors might follow, but Cisco always leads with the innovation. Next slide, please, John. So, what are we doing from a UX point of view, right? We are constantly improving, the user interface, where we are giving our customers more data to be able to manage their WAN, right? So, management from a configuration point of view, from a monitoring point of view, right? We want to provide guided experiences. So we want to take the data from the WAN, from the different applications, and we want to provide workflow libraries, right? It's all about providing better reporting. It's all about providing more information so that then you can make better use of the resources on your WAN. Next slide, please. And we are also using analytics. So we have a vAnalytic platform where we take the raw data to be able to give intelligent insights, to our customers. So you're able to find out what are the top users on your WAN, right? Well, what are the top applications on your WAN, right? How are your circuits performing, so that you can do better capacity planning. And again, it's all about providing, better, application performance, right, to the users of your WAN. Next slide, please. And last but not the least, right, while we have our SD-WAN, you can let the slide build, John. While we, the Cisco SD-WAN fabric, gives you data and telemetry data, about the WAN, and when it's integrated into the cloud, about that information in the cloud, right? What about those, resources where you've got no control, right? What about those internet links? What about those different paths, that you traverse to the cloud, right? This is where Thousand Eyes comes in. Thousand Eyes is a recent acquisition that Cisco has made, but we've taken the Thousand Eyes technology and integrated it within our SD-WAN fabric, right? So our SD-WAN edge devices can, participate, in getting the, telemetry data, which it actually feeds, into the Thousand Eyes portal. Again, we get information on the underlay, which we interact, which we then correlate with the SD-WAN fabric. And again, about providing you the total observability, right, end to end from your application, from where the end user is to where the application that they are consuming. Next slide, please, John. So let's talk a bit about security, and then SASE, right? While a lot of vendors focus on security and now SASE, because that's a buzzword, right? A key aspect that we encourage our customers to think about is segmentation on your SD-WAN fabric. Now, the reason you want to segment your WAN, right, is because more and more we're seeing customers having to open their WAN, right, to third-party IoT type services. So, for example, you might have to open up your WAN, for security, right, for badge reading or for door scanning, right? You might make an acquisition of another company and you need to integrate the two WANs, right? So as you're getting your WAN to be software defined, right, you need to be able to segment, right? You don't want a third-party IoT service, interfering with your corporate traffic, right? So whatever SD-WAN solution you choose, you need to make sure that it's got, the segmentation capability, right? Within the Cisco Viptela SD-WAN solution, we've got a large number of segments that we can support, but more importantly, we support different topologies within each of those segments. So some segments can be hub and spoke for a particular type of service. Another segment can be fully meshed, right, for a security type of service. So the Cisco Viptela SD-WAN solution has got a lot of flexibility when it comes to be able to provide segmentation. Next slide, please, John. So it has the ability to provide security where it's needed. When I say where it's needed, like I said before, we have some customers that want to, deploy security at the edge device, right, at the SD-WAN edge device. And the Cisco SD-WAN edge device supports, enterprise firewall, URL filtering, right? All these, capabilities within the edge device. There's no extra cost, right? It's all covered by, the same SD-WAN sort of license that you will purchase, right? On the other side, we see more and more of our customers wanting to choose, secure web gateway type capability. Again, the Cisco Viptela SD-WAN solution, seamlessly supports that, right, by either connecting into Cisco Umbrella, right, where you can consume all these services that I've listed here, right, or we understand that some of our customers use other secure web gateway services, and we will seamlessly integrate with them as well by, automating or, the buildup of IPsec or GRE tunnels from the SD-WAN fabric. Next slide, please, John. Now, did someone say SASE, Anthony?
Thanks, Rowan. Hi, everyone. My name's Anthony Miller. I'm a cybersecurity partner specialist. I've been within the IT industry now for 25 years, and I've actually been with Cisco for 18.5 years. Firstly, thank you for joining us today, and thank you to NEC for this event as well, too. If we talk about secure access services edge, it has to be one of the most overhyped terms out there in the market today. And if you Google SASE, you'll get a plethora of certainly vendor solutions as well too, and everyone is certainly starting to jump onto this bandwagon. What I hope to do today is show you that partnering with a partner like NEC and leveraging obviously some of this Cisco technology, Cisco can really bring a very solid solution to market for our customers. And if you think about what SASE is and how Gartner defines this, they talk about it simply, it's bringing disparate networking and obviously network security services in together. And the real premise of SASE is, how do you simplify, how do you improve performance, and how do you reduce complexity? And if the number one thing that I'm hearing from customers and certainly even from partners now is, how do I reduce this vendor sprawl? How do I, because the problem is that in the past, what we've had to do is that if you had a problem, we would just throw another box at it. And so we've built up these number of different solutions, and the problem is none of them talk together. There's a lot of work to actually integrate it. And if you think about the time to detect and time to know, industry average is still 100+ days, is that, that's a long time that an organization could actually be hacked and not even know that they've got people within their environment. So again, this time to detect, time to know, and also this vendor consolidation story is really coming to the fore. As I said, Rowan spoke about this whole foundation of WAN, and obviously now software-defined WAN as well. So again, the premise of all this is the basis is certainly Cisco has some very solid solutions from a SD-WAN perspective. We talked about Viptela at the enterprise level, but we also have the Meraki solution, which is designed very much at a cloud-based level, normally for SMB and for very distributed enterprises. Next slide, thanks, John.
Yeah, so as Anthony pointed out, SASE is really the convergence, right, of the network as a service, type capabilities like SD-WAN, so on and so forth, and then the network security as a service, right? So I think the key aspect here, as defined by by Gartner is it's the convergence of these two types of services, network type services and security type services, and then delivered as a service, right? So I think that's a key part, you know, to understand about SASE. So it's not just the coming together of these two services, but it's also the delivery of this, you know, as a service. Next slide, please, John. And to actually make that vision a reality, right? We at Cisco feel that we are in the best position, right, to enable SASE, the SASE vision. So if you look here, on the left-hand side, we've got the networking type, capabilities, and we are able to deliver this via SD-WAN, and I talked about them, segmentation, cloud on-ramp, so on and so forth. And then on the other side, we've got the security type services, which, secure web gateway, firewall, and we've got the ability to deliver this via the cloud, as Anthony will talk about. But in order to enable the true SASE vision as defined by Gartner, right? We've got to have the two, important pieces to be able to deliver it by a service. So what we at Cisco are doing is at the bottom, you see the SASE as a service kind of platform, right? So this is the platform that we are building to actually enable the delivery of these two services via the cloud as a service, right? So that's the first part that we're doing at Cisco. And then on the top, you see the cloud edge, right? So the cloud edge is the glue that helps us to bring the networking as a help us to bring the networking services and the security services, right, to be able to deliver it as a service. Now, that cloud edge is what we are doing is where we are developing the capability where we're going to bring networking type capabilities into the Cisco Umbrella Cloud, right? So the Cisco Umbrella Cloud delivers all the security capabilities, and by bringing the cloud edge, right, into the Cisco Umbrella Cloud, we are now taking networking and the SD-WAN capabilities into that cloud, and then that combined with the SASE as a service platform is how Cisco will be delivering, the SASE vision. Next slide, please, John. And just to reiterate here again, right? So whether you've got, whether our customers are using a Meraki SD-WAN solution or whether they're using a Viptela SD-WAN solution, right? The SASE journey begins by actually connecting into the Cisco Umbrella, because it's via the Cisco Umbrella Cloud, right? Where we will have that cloud edge that I just talked about. That'll help you then, use, any or all of these services depending on your choice and then help you exit to all the different clouds, etc., that you want to do, right? And now I'd like to pass on to Anthony to give you a bit more information, right, into the Cisco Umbrella Cloud.
Thanks, Ron. And look, and this is a really important slide, guys, in the terms of that Umbrella is really fundamentally a key piece of the puzzle for the secure access services. I'll take you through that during this presentation, but this is a report recently from IDC that talks about, during this pandemic, organizations have had to start sweating a lot of their assets, etc. Suddenly, everyone's been working from home and we're moving to this hybrid environment. But IDC is still saying that security will still be very much, a growth area, particularly for organizations in 2022. Thanks, John. And if you think about it, all of these things and connecting users to applications is complex. And if you think about, at the start of the pandemic back in March last year or 2 years ago now, when suddenly everyone had to be working at home and users had maybe different sort of solutions and products that they might have cobbled together, whether they be for their own Wi-Fi or anything. But the big thing is that, the users are dispersed, and we're going to see that people are going to be working in a hybrid model, certainly well past, 21 as well too. If you just build the slide for me, thanks, John. And then you think about it, everyone's connecting in different ways, and you're starting to think too that you're starting to see now a lot of organizations are embracing a multi-cloud strategy, not just 1 or 2 clouds or SaaS as a service, but could be connecting up to 20 users. So again, now we've actually got issues around, particularly around security, and one more build, thanks, John, in terms of, the applications are everywhere. And it's been a real change. So if you think about over the years where, we've really had environments where everything was in the corporate network. Now suddenly all the traffic is outside of most of the traffic is now outside of the network, and this direct internet access piece of the puzzle is really causing a lot of issues for organizations, and Rowan touched on it. We'll go on to the next slide. Thanks, John. And if you think about it, this was the office of old. All the applications were hosted in your data center. Everything was connected between branches and obviously head office. Again, using expensive MPLS network circuits. And we probably had users at home connecting via the VPN. So if you fast forward now and look about what is happening today and what's changed is this move to the cloud has really caught a lot of organizations, certainly unaware. Mainly because now everyone has the ability from their corporate provided device, the ability now, if you're not on the network and you're not on the VPN, the ability to still go off to the cloud and surf the web. And so how do you start protecting users, but also how do you start enforcing acceptable use behavior, etc.? Because again, this is now all about the user experience. And again, another issue that's happened now is that organizations are struggling to understand what's the shadow IT that has been leveraged within their organization. Are their users going to risky applications and risky sites? Thanks, John. And so I'll get you to build this one as well. So the three key things that network and security teams are struggling is how do we connect users to applications? How do we protect them against these threats? And at the same time, still deliver a high quality user experience. If you think about what we're doing here today is, the complexity that is happening behind the scenes in order to deliver full video with no buffering or et cetera and everything else, they're really, really complex issues that you have to deal with in order to be able to deliver a seamless, high quality user experience. And if you think about it, you only need a couple of things to start going wrong with a video call, and suddenly people are getting pretty frustrated. So a new approach is needed. So I'll move to the next slide. Thanks, John. And so we talk about the benefits of SASE, and again, this is a platform approach. This is starting to say, hey, all of these different solutions today, can I collapse all these solutions into one single service? And that is exactly what SASE is trying to bring. How do I reduce complexity, and how do I obviously increase performance, etc.? Thanks, John. On to the next slide. And so if you think about it, again, we've reiterated that this is all about how do you combine networking and security functions in the cloud. How do you also make sure that you're connecting users to any environment from anywhere? So if you think about it now, the ability to connect to an application, whether I'm at the Qantas Club Lounge when we can finally travel again, or if I'm sitting at home on my home network running my NBN and my local Wi-Fi. But then also to this other piece of the puzzle, which is control. Because if I'm providing a corporate device to my staff, I want to make sure that I'm enforcing acceptable use behavior, but also I'm protecting my users and automating a lot of systems behind the scenes so that if situation stupid where someone does click on a link, the ability to automatically say, hang on, that particular website is actually associated to another website in the Ukraine that's serving malware. So actually we're going to block that and we're going to deem that as bad. So this whole direct internet access has really changed the game for a lot of organizations and opened up lots of security issues. Next slide, thank you. So I'm an old guy. If you think about the office of old, you had to go to the office in order to do your work. And of course, if I wanted to print something out, I had to use the old dot matrix printer. If I wanted to photocopy something, I had to go to the photocopier. If I wanted to send a fax overseas, I had to go to the fax machine. And then, of course, if I wanted to scan something, I'd probably use the flatbed scanner device as well. And then on top of that, obviously a binder machine. So where it's all evolved to today, if you think about all those different services like email, printing, faxing, everything else and scanning, it's all now in one multifunction printer. So one service, one product delivering all of those services. And that's exactly what SASE is. It's just collapsing all of these different services. In actual fact, too, if you look at some of our competitors in the SASE space, you may find that a number of those competitors may need up to 9 different solutions in order to deliver what Cisco can. And I'll talk you through that shortly. Next slide. Thanks, John. So again, we talked about this whole convergence. It's simply this convergence between networking teams and security teams. So it's a great opportunity now for network operations teams to be able to working with security operations team. And it's just this convergence though that is really starting to really change the game in terms of what secure access services actually is. Thanks, John. So we talk about, and these are the core components of the Cisco SASE architecture, is that we talk about the 3 C's. The first one is connect, converge, and control. And so when we talk about connect, well, that's all what Rowan has been discussing today is around SD-WAN and remote access, which we can overlay with our VPN, AnyConnect, and certainly Duo security. And then the second piece is control, is how do we build out the controls for users so that we can protect users wherever they work and wherever they're connecting to. So this converging into one single offer and an integrated solution. But then we also overlaid, and I know Rowan touched on this, obviously with Thousand Eyes, which is a recent acquisition. What Thousand Eyes does is now gives us very deep granularity in terms of understanding what's the performance issue that's happening with this application. Is it due to the application? Is it due to an ISP? Or is it due maybe to the user's home network, etc.? So we can get very granular now around the visibility about what's going on with the application. Because if you think about it, end of the day, the application is key. Thanks, next slide. So we talk about two use cases for secure access services edge. We talk about the secure remote worker, and we also talk about secure edge. So again, a secure edge is very much around how do we provision that SD-WAN fabric, how do we obviously secure access to applications, direct internet access, but then also too on the other side is how do we protect remote workers? How do we make sure we're giving them really good secure access to both not only the internet but also the applications, but also delivering the best application connectivity as well. I also include here authenticate users and ensure device health because that is a Duo security, certainly a service that Duo will deliver. On to the next slide, thanks, John. So this now talks back to the importance of Umbrella. So we talked about SD-WAN, obviously being the foundation, and then Umbrella being on top. So if you think about what Umbrella brings is all these different services in one single console and one single product. So if you think about when we acquired OpenDNS, this is going back about 5 years ago, they were purely looking at good, bad DNS. They were doing some good work around investigations, etc., around websites and domains, but that's where their heritage was. In those days, they were doing 80 billion lookups daily. So massive number, even 5 years ago, so 80 billion lookups. Today, we're now at 260 billion daily lookups. So we get tremendous visibility into domains and URLs and everything else. But what Umbrella brings is all this other functionality now, because we talk about now secure internet gateway, which includes things like, DNS is absolutely key. Talks about secure web gateway, the ability now also to control users as well. And so I'll say, I'll let you post on Facebook, but I won't let you play Facebook games. We can deliver cloud-delivered firewalls. And by the way, we've done some great integration now with Meraki, whereby you can provision those consoles now from within the Meraki console. We talk about cloud access services brokerage. Well, that was the integration of another acquisition called CloudLock. So the ability now to see and understand shadow IT. Where are our users going in terms of their websites and trolling around? So again, cloud access security brokerage is absolutely key here. But now we've got the ability now to really say, hang on, these are risky apps. Should our users actually be using those? And maybe they should be doing that on their own home PC and not on the corporate network. So we can get very deep granularity around that sort of usage. And then obviously, finally, we also throw interactive threat intel from Talos, which is our research organization, etc. I haven't talked about all the other bits and good pieces with Umbrella. We've now delivered DLP into that solution. We also now have remote browser isolation. So the ability to mirror a website and reduce and take away all of the ability to interact with that website. So you can only read and do nothing else integrate or interact with that website. So some really great things. If you haven't seen Umbrella in the past, you should be talking to John and the team around what some of these solutions can deliver to your organizations. Next slide, thank you. So just in trying to wrap up this, what I've hopefully delivered today is to talk to you about what's Cisco doing. So we talk about this connect, control, converge, really key, but the building blocks are really key. So the first piece, top of the pile is SD-WAN, Viptela, Meraki. Obviously, zero trust networking is coming from Duo security. So the ability not only to do multi-factor authentication, but also to do what we call device health. So here at Cisco, we absolutely pursue zero trust. We trust no one and we trust no device. So every time any Cisco employee is authenticating the network, Duo security is also looking at the device health. Has that changed, or does it have a risky iOS that needs to be upgraded? We're not going to let you onto the network until you've actually upgraded your software. So every time that we're authenticating, now we've got the ability to look very granular at applications and talking about zero trust. Should Anthony Miller have access to another employee's salary? No. So again, we talk about the ability not only to look at zero trust from applications, but also tying to segmentation in terms of what Rowan was speaking earlier. And the final piece again is overlaying this with 1,000 eyes from an observability perspective. Next slide, thanks, John. So this is my final slide, but hopefully what I've shown you is what is Cisco's SASE vision. You know, it's basically how do we combine this best-in-class networking and support around security and observability into a single subscription service. So what you're going to be seeing delivered by Cisco very, very shortly is one single subscription delivering all of those services that Gartner has said defines certainly secure access services edge. I hope you found this presentation useful. It's key for us to start simplifying the message for security. So again, I would urge you to talk to NEC, great security partner with us as well too, John and the team, and appreciate your time today. Back to you, John.
Thank you, everyone. If I can just get the panelists to come back on screen, and we'll just have a quick look to see if there are any questions from the audience. So just a quick one from me to both Anthony and Rowan. If there's one key takeaway within your respective technology solution sets that you can leave with this audience, what is it that you would provide from an SD-WAN, from a SASE perspective, in terms of those organisations that are either planning their journey, midway through their journey, or about to embark?
Rowan?
Yeah, John. I think the key message that I'd like to leave the audience with is to ensure that you evaluate, the requirements, your business requirements, with the right SD-WAN, technology solution, because there are a lot of SD-WAN solutions out there. So it's important to do an evaluation to match your business requirements, and use partners like NEC that can help with that. But yeah, definitely do a proper evaluation, to ensure that the SD-WAN solution can meet all the business requirements.
Yeah, that's great. That's really, really good. Anthony?
Yeah, look, if I could just leave it with it, Cisco today, I've been with this organisation now for 18.5 years, as I did in my introduction. I've never seen such a absolute focus on building out security everywhere. So it's not just secure SASE, but it's secure collaboration, it's secure data center, it's everything that's just being built into it, but also this drive to make it simpler. So if you think about from a secure access services edge, all you need to do if you want to build out what Gartner is talking about you start off with your SD-WAN, you add Umbrella SIG, and you add Duo. That's it. And you've built out a secure access services edge solution that will deliver simplicity, reduce complexity, and obviously, working in terms of performance. And we overlaid all that with 1,000 eyes. So I can tell you, there's no other vendor out there today that is building out what Cisco has been building. And again, you're going to see some great things happening in New Year, whereby it's one single subscription service delivered in the cloud. And partners like NEC, recommend that you talk to these guys about, where you're at, and because every customer is at a different point. Some people are only just starting on the SD-WAN piece. Some people are trying to work out, God, how do I manage all these users and how do I protect these users wherever they work? Thanks, John.
That's great, Anthony, and that's a good segue. There aren't any further questions, so I'd like to thank everyone for participating today and listening. Hopefully, from Rowan and Anthony's insights, you've picked up a couple of different pieces there that may be worthwhile and relevant to your organisation. Your respective NEC contacts will be in touch with you post this presentation, and happy to sort of take on any follow-on questions or have further discussions that may be relevant to your organisation and Pankit, I'm sure, will also be available to our team to assist with any of those things. So other than that, I'll give everybody 10 minutes of their day back. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful afternoon or morning wherever you are.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.